You know, the first thing that I ever thought every time I got a problem was, I need to move away. The place is the problem. This is the mindset a lot of people have. So, this video, why running to a different country won't always fix your problems, is important. Now, I am a massive advocate for anyone to leave their hometowns. I think the worst thing you can do is stay in one place for the rest of your life. It's the worst thing you could do. Traveling is great. Sorry about this light. It's quite annoying. Traveling is great, but if you're just traveling, and not actually living in these places and getting to know the cultures, understanding the new ways of life, it's such a life experience that's so valuable. I feel like everyone needs to have. You can't just have that same mentality that you had growing up and just stay in one place forever. When I started to move away and travel a little bit, I always had problems. I always carried personal baggage with me. Now, that personal baggage doesn't leave you, unless you want it to. And I tell people a few different stories when I moved. One of the things that I always liked to do when I was younger was drink, go out, do drugs, party, rave, do whatever. So I naturally became friends with people in that space. So when I moved away without really changing that mindset. I was like, I want to move away. I want to make loads of money. And I moved to Oxford to start and basically just, found friends in that space, found friends that like drinking, just got involved with that. That's cool. Partied together. Great. And then eventually I moved to Marbella, but I still had that same mindset, So when I went out to these places, I was still, looking for people to hang around with, make new friends, and coincidentally, always ended up with the same type of person. Lads that would message you on a Thursday, Friday, Tuesday, let's go out for a beer, let's get a packet in, let's go out, let's party. And naturally, that just kept happening all the time. And it wasn't until towards the end of leaving Marbella where I got real sick of the kind of person I was. And I thought, even though I want to now move to Dubai, if I don't change the way I am now, it's just going to be the exact same experience in Dubai. I'm going to find people that want to drink. I'm going to go out partying all the time. I'm going to feel the same way. And the way I felt at that point, it was basically like I wasn't progressing in life. I wasn't moving forward. I was just I was never really going above a certain amount of money. I was never really progressing, in terms of like financial wealth, creation, freedom, any of those things. I was just stagnant. I was getting by and I lived an okay life, but I was never really progressing the way I wanted to. And the biggest killer for men is when you don't feel like you're progressing, you feel like you're losing. Going back to the subject of the story, running away to a different place, it doesn't solve the problems. You have to solve them first, or you have to want to solve them first before you move. Now, you can also solve them when you move. And again, like I said, I think it's so important for young people, middle-aged people, or even older people to just go somewhere, live somewhere. But the idea of what I'm trying to say is just don't expect it to change. If you're naturally a down person and you get very easily insecure, or you feel like the environment of the country is not what you want to be, so it's everyone else's problem, it's everyone else's fault that I feel this way, I need to go somewhere, guess what? It's just going to be the exact same. So for example, again, I was a very negative mindset. I always say this in my videos. I was always, glass half empty kind of guy. And, when I moved to Marbella, I felt as if, the whole place was going to change me and, do wonders for me. But I was in the exact same position, right? I was still drinking. I was still meeting up with it was just basically what I was doing in the UK, but doing it now in Spain. So I'd still wake up hungover, still wake up feeling crap, spending weeks just like, oh God, not progressing, then constantly questioning everything I'm doing. This was a big one as well. So I always used to question if I'm on the right path, if I'm doing the right thing, if this is actually the right way for me to go. So that was what I was like before. And then I felt like that in Marbella just the same. And to be honest, I even felt like it in Dubai. When I started out in my video production business, always questioning should this be the way? And then it wasn't until I got into real estate where I was able to, actually hone in, focus, and say, all right, this is the path, this is the progress. But even in my real estate career, I've veered off. At times I wanted to start selling a course. I wanted to you know, build a different type of real estate business. There's always been times where I've veered off, but, you know, with that one vision in mind, that I want to be a successful agent, I want to build a strong personal brand. And then because I had that mindset, I did it. And because I eventually left that baggage behind me, bad relationship, bad mindset towards drinking and partying, you know, depressed, negative, all that baggage I had, I was like, this needs to change or Dubai won't work. And Dubai wasn't a place to come to where you can screw up multiple times and, you know, like be able to stay there. And what I mean by that, I'm talking financially here, right? You know, you can't go to Dubai, get it wrong, spend all your money, and then it's not that easy to make money. You can't just go out and get, you know, I'll just go and get a bar job. I'll go and get a little part-time job just to keep the money ticking. It's not, Dubai's not like that, you know? As soon as you run out of money, you've got to either find a lifeline, which might be a family member, it might be a friend, you know, it's got to be something, you know, you can't just stick around and stay there and hope for the best or get a bit of support. You know, you need a visa, you need all sorts of things to stay there. So it's not the kind of place where I would have come to with that half glass empty kind of mindset. So what I'm trying to say in the whole moral of this story is before you move away or before you think about moving away, have a think about all your problems. Have a think about the things that you struggle with. Think about how that new country will impact them. What needs to change for you to actually succeed in this new place? What habits do I need to change? You know, what could you do better? You know, what kind of attitude you need to have, which would ultimately, you know, lead to your success in this new place. And that prime example was one of them. If you only have friends that you go out with drinking at home, when you move to a new country, don't try and find people that are like-minded in that space, because it's very easy to find people who want to party and want to drink in these places. And at first it's great, you know, but all of a sudden you quickly just find you're in exactly the same position as you were, but maybe the environment's different, the sun is out, all that kind of stuff. And as I said before, you know, if you feel like you're the type of person that gets really negative and really down, don't expect to just move to another place and then that changes. That's got to come from within. And that can come from, you know, practicing, like reading books about mindset, strength, a bit of stoicism. It can be about like how to overcome obstacles. You know, there's plenty of books out there. Ryan Holiday, Obstacle is the Way, or there's 10x is better than 2x, which I recently read, which is a book talking about how to just go 10x like with everything rather than 2x, which is just stagnant progress. It's like all in progress. And if you can apply some of this logic to your own mindset and life, then the new areas that you move to will become a success. But just getting on a plane, packing your bags and leaving, the problems will still be there. And it's horrible to say because, you know, you want this fresh start. It'll be a fresh start, but you're not, environment's fresh, but you're still the same. So unless you change from within, it's going to be no different. It might be happier. It will be better at first because change is nice sometimes. You know, you might have a lot of like family that you don't want to be around, ex-girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever it is. And you can kind of get rid of that. And then it does feel like a fresh start, but still the problems will be there from within. So fix those problems, list them all down. Think how you can improve yourself. Think now, if you've got a couple of months before you move away, what are these little steps you can take so that when you get there, you're going to go 10x, you're going to go all in. There are going to be no obstacles. Well, there'll always be obstacles, but you don't even mind that there are obstacles and you're ready for them. Think about it. And then, yeah, if you do it, good luck. I wish you all the best. Moving away was the best thing I ever did. I learned a lot about myself. I had a lot of great life experiences, and it took me a long time to really figure out how to work and operate in these places. But if you're a strong-minded person, you want to win and succeed, you will succeed and you will win. And I wish you all the best. See you in the next video.